Hello everyone, I'm here to do another weekly reads, and as you might see, I'm in my bedroom today because we are doing some reorganization of the house and everything is a little bit everywhere, so yeah, I'm here today because this room is okay today, but yeah, I thought I will go through the things that I have been reading this week. I have read quite a lot. It's not going to be the same next week because next week my parents are coming to visit. So yeah, I'll probably spend a lot of time with them and read like 10 pages. That's normally what happens. But this week I did read a lot, so I wanted to go through it with you. And so let's start first with the audiobooks. I finished 2 audiobooks this week. The first one is The Prettiest by Carter Sickles, and this is basically an account of a man of 20-something that is gay in a very rural area of Ohio where it's not accepted. So he goes to New York, and it's in the 80s, so he eventually gets AIDS. And the story starts with him coming home with AIDS to die, basically. And how at the beginning the family does not accept him because he's gay and they're very religious, but how slowly the view changes because he's just dying and they love him because it's part of their family anyway. And we follow 3 perspectives. So we follow the perspective of the man himself, we follow the perspective of his little sister, she's like 15, and then we also follow the perspective of the mother of this man. And I was not sure I was going to like it. The descriptions I heard were not that appealing to me, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's very emotional and it really does picture well what AIDS does and how our prejudices hurt people, but at the end of the day, how we can overcome those prejudices for someone we love and realize that maybe what we thought was that important was not that important. I read, I think a couple of years ago, I read The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay, which has a similar topic, but I did like the structure of this a lot more. And for some reason I have been reading a lot of books lately that follow several characters and also sometimes different timelines. This one didn't have exactly different timelines. Of course, we saw them remembering things from when he was in New York, but we don't really go back as a storyline. But we do have the perspectives of the different people. And I think in this case it really works because it really shows how the different people thought about it and experienced this. We just don't get a narrow perspective on this. We get quite a wide one, and I really enjoyed that one. So yeah, I would recommend this one. I read it also because it's in the final of the BookTube prize, and I'm very happy that it's there. We will see what the results are, but I hope it does well. And the other one that I finished in audiobook is The Giants, the Dragons, the Women by Wayetu Moore, which is her memoir of her family leaving Liberia and going into the US, Texas I think specifically, when the Liberian Civil War started. And yeah, this one I had read before from Wayetu Moore, and I enjoyed what I read, and I think that this had a similar feeling for me. So I did enjoy the book. I think it was giving perspectives of things that in the Western world we don't talk so much about. I mean, I did know that Liberia had a civil war, but I didn't know a lot about it, so this gave me a lot of insight on this. And also I think she does a good job on explaining a little bit the difference between being just an African, or not just, but being an African American that has lived in this very oppressive society all their lives, and they're used to that, and they have certain roles that they take, and being an African that goes to the US and how that is different, just because if you're an African your experience is not has not always been of marginalization and racism, and you have to readjust your expectations of what people think of you as you grow up, and we see that in this memoir. So I think it's a good memoir. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's my favorite book, but I did enjoy it, and I will recommend as well. Then I also read 4 physical books. They were all quite short, but still, I think I'm quite proud of how much I read this week. I didn't have a lot of things to do. I was alone in the house most of the time because my husband's working and my friends were busy, so I mean that happens, but yeah, I'm happy that I read so much. The first one I read in physical form was Familiar Things by Hwang Sok-yong, and this is a South Korean novel that I read for Invisible Cities, and I have a video for Invisible Cities up, so I will link it down below and up in the cards wherever they are. But yeah, this book was very short, and I was interested in it because it is about a boy that lives in a slum in Seoul, picking up trash and reselling the trash that is resolvable, basically the recyclable trash, and we see like the very, very low society in South Korea. So I thought that was quite interesting, but actually, I mean, the book was good, but I found it didn't have a very strong sense of self. So if you would have told me that this was happening in India or in other countries with this kind of jobs and this kind of child labor in a way, I would have believed it. It didn't have any specific, very strong Korean values other than the names of the characters. So in that sense I was a bit disappointed because I was reading this to know a little bit more about South Korea, but at the end I guess I did learn that South Korea does have very poor people as well that do this kind of jobs. So yeah, I feel a little bit on the fence about this one, but I'm glad I read it and I know about it now. If you want more recommendations in South Korean books, you can go to my video. I have several. I talk about several South Korean books and authors that you can explore further. Then I think basically the rest of my reading was Booker Prize. So I have made good progress of that. The first book that I read for the Booker this week was China Room by Sunjeev Sahota. And this one follows 2 perspectives again, 2 timelines. One timeline is supposed to be the author, so like current time, and the other one is, I don't know if it's the grandmother or the great grandmother of the character, but an ancestor of this character, and she's married off when she was 15. And it was a ceremony in which these 3 brothers married 3 brides, and she was one of the brides. So she doesn't really know which one of the brothers she married. And the book is kind of about her trying to find that out, and like the interactions and the oppressiveness of this society that told her that she had to be submissive. And for me, this one was, I think the writing was good. I didn't think that the characters were very relatable just because we didn't see so much of what was going on in their heads. And the changing timelines just threw me off a lot. So this one was one of that I liked but I didn't love. I have a review for it up, so you can go check that out. Again, I will link it below and above and everywhere. But yeah, this one was it was okay. It seems to be a theme in the Booker this year. Everything is kind of okay. But the next one I finished, actually I quite enjoyed, and that's A Passage North by Anuk Arudpragasam. That's a difficult name, but yeah, so this one is a Sri Lankan author, and we follow the main character. It also kind of has dual timelines, and we follow him when his grandmother died and how it affected him, but also he then moved, I think, to India, and there he had a relationship with this woman who was a bisexual woman, and they also had a very tumultuous relationship that ended, and we see the grief of all of these things that he lost, basically. It's a very philosophical and very poetic way to write. So it's not really about the story, it's more about all these thoughts that come out from that story. And I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's for everybody because the sentences are like super long and the paragraphs are super long. But I did enjoy that it had, after a while, when I got used to it, it had a rhythm and it was like mesmerizing. So yeah, I really like that one, and a review for that one will be coming this week. And then the other one, which also a review will be coming this week, is The Promise by Damon Galgut. And I was a bit apprehensive about this one because I have heard a lot of hype, and whenever a book has too much hype, I'm always apprehensive because a book cannot be that good. And I kind of, yeah, I guess that's what happened. I think it's a good book, but yeah, I'm not sure that it's up to all that hype that I saw, for me, at least for me. And I don't think that's exactly the fault of the book. So this book we follow, like it's divided in 4 parts, and in each part we follow sort of the death of a member of a family. And the first person that died, the mother of the family, promised their caretaker to give her the piece of land and the house where she lived in their property, and make her the owner of that part. And I'm assuming this is like a white family in South Africa, and the caretaker is black, because that's kind of how it works. But then we see that this promise is not fulfilled, and then the next person dies, and then we have to see how, like, at what point that promise is going to happen. And there is the daughter of this woman, who is called Moore, that tries to force, like, the next person that owns the land to give it to this person, and they always find excuses for them not to do that. And yeah, I did find it quite interesting that it was in South Africa, and I did search a lot of Wikipedia articles about South African history, which is always a good thing, but that is more at the beginning, and then once the story goes again and again, it started feeling a little bit repetitive for me, and there was less of that history involved in all of this, and it was more about the family. And when I heard the premise of this book, I was not interested, and then I read it and I was not interested in the premise. So I don't think it's fair for me to fault the book for that premise when I was not interested in the first place. So I think it was well executed. I think the writing was good without being overpowering, and I think that the story in general was well executed. I didn't find any faults. I read it really fast, and I enjoyed the book enough. I just don't think that this is going to have that impact on me, just because that's not the kind of story I normally want to read. Sorry, I forgot that we are getting into autumn almost, and the light goes out earlier, so we are yellow now. But that's what happens, right? It just happens. But yeah, those are basically the books that I finished this week. Then, of course, I read my part of A Suitable Boy. Now on page 668, so I'm almost halfway through. And yeah, I'm still enjoying this a lot. I think that when I finish all of the Booker books, I will take a little bit more pace with this, because I'm really interested on what's happening, and I want to follow the characters more. So yeah, this one, it's going well, and you'll see it in the next weekly read probably. Then I'm also reading my Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, and this is also in the finals of the BookTube Prize, and I'm not judging fiction, so it's okay for me to talk about it, I think. But yeah, this one is kind of a retelling of Lolita from the girl's point of view. So it's about this girl Vanessa that when she was 15 she went to a boarding school and she had an affair with one of the teachers there. And I think the point that this book is trying to make, as far I'm about 60-70% into the way, and the point is trying to make is how this girl can get into that mentality and how she can get absorbed in it, and she still doesn't kind of see it as abuse. But I got the point about halfway through, and now it's just lagging a lot. And it's also kind of very, very detailed and very graphic at times. And it's not that I'm a prude, but I just don't see the point of all of those details. I don't think it adds anything to the story. So for me, it's more of a thing that I don't know really why that is there, rather than, oh, squeamish, whatever. But yeah, I'm ready to be done with it, let's say. But I'm doing it in audiobook, so that's good, because I can just put it when I'm cooking or going for a walk or whatever, and it goes faster in that sense. So yeah, that one is okay for me so far. I don't think it's gonna win the BookTube Prize. I hope it doesn't, but we will see what happens. And I still have 30% of the way to go, so things can change. And then the last one that I have started today, and I have read like 20 pages of, so I don't have a lot of thoughts of, is After the Last Border by Jessica Goudeau. And this one is for the BookTube Prize as well, but for the non-fiction category, and I'm judging this one, so I cannot talk a lot about this one, but I have started it. And yes, as I said, next week my parents are coming to visit, so I don't think I'm going to read a whole lot. I will be happy if I finish After the Last Border and read my section of A Suitable Boy. And if I do those things and I still have time, I think I will start The Fortune Men, which is again for the Booker Prize. I have, I think, 4 books left. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing those. I think I can finish most of them before the shortlist is announced, which is exciting, but I'll keep you updated. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you've read this week, and until next video, bye!